Let's get going, and I want to talk to you about your week, first of all, but I want to tell everyone what we're doing here. So Soulfire Sunday is a mental health podcast where it's a bunch of men opening up and openly talking about mental health. We're going through a 15-week cognitive behavioral therapy program by Lucinda Bassett, and we're on week number 12.
Crazy.
So we've done 14 weeks of the podcast. There will actually be 14 weeks available to you to view.
Yeah.
But we're on session number 12, which is called The Courage to Change. And we'll get going on that in a minute. But the main reason we're doing this through the summer months, I kind of say this every week, so if you're new to sex and suicide, Sunday is all about mental health. It's all about trying to help people and deter suicide. We kind of named it Sex and Suicide to break stigma. And Paulie is a big stigma breaker. Why is that?
Because I'm sick of going to funerals.
Right.
And I think that in a lot of cases, the funerals that I've been to are a direct result of stigma.
Okay.
And I'm sick of going to stigma. I don't think that, or I'm sick of going to funerals because of stigma. I think that that's a major thing that we're still, we still think, depression's a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not a bad thing. It's a human thing.
Yep.
Like anxiety. Well, like everyone on the planet's going to have at least one anxious moment in their life.
At least one.
And they're not...
A day, maybe.
And it doesn't make them a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
I think that society's kind of put this on us, the stigmatizing kind of society on us, and it's up to us to break that.
Yep.
We blame society, but we are society, so it is up to us to change it, and I think that's what we're doing here, is just trying to break it.
Yeah. We're trying.
Yeah.
So the main reason we do this now, and again, we talk about this every week, especially now that we're getting closer to September, and we're getting closer to the end of the program. As September approaches, we're sort of in the peak time, statistically, for suicides to be taking place. And we're not going to try to refer to it as suicide season anymore, I guess. We'll just refer to it as this is the time of year when there's lots of change and transition happening, and people are sort of making poor decisions, I guess.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're here is we're trying to encourage people to watch this, tune into this, or at least reach out to us when you're not in school and you don't have those support systems.
Right. I noticed that my inbox is getting fuller, just kind of in the last 2 weeks, really, just with people reaching out, and I don't know if that's an indication of how far this podcast is reaching, or how much that stat is very true.
And how much it's needed,
and how much this stuff's needed. So
I
hope that if people are scared to reach out, that other people do that already. So it's okay to reach out to us. And to talk to us, or reach out to a crisis line or a crisis center. Yeah, if you're struggling.
And if you're looking for that number, on last week's podcast, we put that. We can put the card. I'll do an attachment with the numbers as well. But again, if you're contemplating suicide, please make sure that you contact your local crisis center. And you can do that just by Googling wherever you're from, really. And that the number should pop right up for you.
In Ontario, you can do 211, and it'll bring you up to it'll give you a resource for any mental health facility or crisis line.
Just by dialing 211 on your phone?
Yeah.
And cell phone?
Yeah, anywhere in Ontario.
Okay, well there you go. If you're in Ontario, it's a nice little tip for you if you're in trouble. So anyways, again, we're doing cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. A lot of that is about changing the way that you think, changing your attitude, trying to stop worrying, trying to stop feeling guilty about past mistakes, and just really being present and trying to transform any kind of negative thought that comes into your mind into something a little more compassionate and a little more full of love and tenderness, really, and towards yourself and towards others, because that's the best way to operate in the world. So, shall we get into it, buddy?
I think we shall.
Okay.
Did you have a good week?
I did have a good week. Tell me about your week first. I meant to ask you.
I didn't do much. I'm getting into the hockey season, getting ready for that. It's coming up in a few weeks. I'm gonna be heading to Boston, which I'm really excited for a big international hockey tournament in a few weeks. So
awesome.
Pumped about that, so I'm gearing up for that. It's been I'm getting all ready for it. August is a tough month for me as well. It's a month that I remember a lot of loss that I've had in my life, so I just kind of take day by day in August, and I don't really speak too much in August. I just kind of I'm Paulie for a month, right?
Paulie
and I
for
like
August.
that. It's I like to keep busy, so it's gonna. I'm just doing that a lot. I'm doing a pile of walking. I just saw before I came here that I walked 54,000 steps this week.
Good for you, man. Good for you, buddy.
that just sets the bar. You know, I got to do more than that next week, right?
Yeah.
And I've got into this progressional lifestyle, right? I just want to be progressive.
But what do we talk about before about expectations?
Expectations are premeditated resentments, you know?
Right. So if you don't hit it, you're not going to beat yourself up.
I'm not going to beat myself up. I just think that I've set what I can do, you know, and it's possible to do that much in a week. So why not go after that and try to get myself a little bit healthier, you know, and eat a little bit better and eat a little bit more. It's not even that I'm not eating healthy, it's just that I'm not eating very much, right?
Right.
Eat a little bit more and do a little bit more exercise and stuff like that. How's your week?
I'll have to read you what this gentleman wrote to us, because it was definitely it was a good one, and it was directed more for you.
All right.
So maybe it's better if this all happens for a reason. I'll read it to you privately. Yeah. My week was good, man. It's always busy, as you know.
Yeah.
I've tried, for those people that are kind of have noticed there hasn't been a mental health and motivational Monday or a Woman Crush Wednesday for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That's because I'm kind of trying to take August to reorganize, get some of my personal stuff in order before really plowing through and bringing this thing to another level in September. So September is going to be really crucial in trying to grow that, and that's when I'll start to ask more and more people to reach out and join on to this thing and hopefully spread and promote positivity and change, all the while having fun.
Yeah.
It's all about fun. It's all about being uncensored. It depends really on our mood where this thing goes.
Yeah.
We could be dropping F-bombs every 2 fucking seconds.
Right.
Or we could be just chill. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It seems like a chill day. You seem chill today.
I am chill today.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Who knows? We might get some more energy.
It's kind of a lazy Sunday.
Has
it's
it?
kind of one of those lazy Sundays that I've been doing a lot of reflection, I guess, recently, and I just spoke actually on Friday night just for a group of people that saw me when I first came in, like saw me as transition from living in my car to recovery.
Right.
And I just am like, I'm so amazed that these people still love me the same way that they did on day one. You know, and
awesome.
like they're still so connected to recovery and helping others. And they always just say, like, you got to work hard, but you got to, you know, serve others with this gift of recovery. And if you got it, you got to give it away. And
right.
That's how we stop the stigma, right? So
right.
It was kind of a cool thing I call them my London grandmas. They're these two older ladies. And I like to call them mature. They're in their like 70s and 80s now. So I would really like to, you know, I'm grateful for them. I'm so grateful that they were there for me when I first came in. And I still call them my London grandmas. And they're beauty people for sure.
They sound great.
Yeah,
they sound great. My speaking engagements that were booked were a little different.
They probably were
so
different audience.
Yeah, sure. This week I found out I got booked to a bunch of college and university campuses. For those people watching that don't know, I actually do it's a new show. It's actually developed something that's kind of like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but for sex.
Right.
So it's sex trivia, all about promoting consent, but having fun, giving away sex toys.
Right.
And then you work your way up with sexual, you know, questions and whether or not they know the answers and difficulty levels. So that'll be a lot of fun.
That's cool. Good
it's
for
really
you,
cool.
Man. Good for
so this is going to be through Canada, and a lot of our audience here is in the U.S.
Yeah.
So that would be a nice sort of avenue to break into too. So if anyone in the U.S. is into program sort of coordinating for universities and colleges, by all means, reach out to me. I'd love to do a show for your students there and educate them and have some fun. It's a good time.
Yeah.
It really is. I have a lot of fun. It's always a good thing to promote consent and make sure everyone understands it, and then have a bunch of fun. You know, I mean, at that age, I remember when I was 19 and someone would get up on stage, said fuck a bunch of times, and cock and pussy.
You just laugh.
And you'd be laughing, and then, you know, you have their attention. You can then educate a little bit.
Right, that's it.
So,
teachable moments.
Teachable moments. So I digress. Let's get back to the session.
Let's get back to the courage to change.
I can talk. Yeah, I don't want to go down that path, but I could.
Yeah,
I could.
You could, yeah.
Yeah. So right now we're dealing with session 12, the courage to change, and this session is focused on secondary gains. Before we get into secondary gains, what did you think when she said that you're getting something? So first, for the people that may be watching or will be watching, secondary gains means that you are actually getting something out of being stressed out, anxious, or depressed. And then what comes with that could be anger, it could be resentment, it could be, you know, ruminating thoughts. But you are getting something out of that, and that was pretty crazy. What do you think?
I thought, and maybe because I've been through the CBT a little bit before, that I thought those secondary gains, they are little gains.
Yeah.
But I think going through this and having the courage to change is such a bigger gain.
Yeah.
Than those secondary gains. What's the point in holding on to all that anxiety?
Right.
Ultimately, where does that get me down the road? It gets me missed opportunities. It gets me missed connections with people because I'm too anxious to do anything. And then, it might make me feel good that I'm not exposing myself to people, right? That might be a gain that I'm not. Hey, I don't have to be vulnerable in front of these people. But on the kind of flip side of that coin, it means that if I was too scared to get up there and speak because I was too anxious, and that would make me feel better inside. But ultimately, those people in that audience or in that crowd, they're not going to hear a message of hope, right? And that's a loss.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
So,
you kind of have to focus on them rather than on what's going on here.
I always think that even when I speak that it is nerve-wracking.
Sure.
It's crazy nerve-wracking, but I know that there's someone in that audience that maybe needs to hear it.
Yeah, of course there is.
And that's what drives me, that.
I think any time that you talk, regardless, you're being pulled towards giving a message.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if it's just walking down the street and say you have a conversation with someone, there's a reason for that to happen.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You're either learning something or you're teaching, right? So what are you getting out of holding on to your anxiety and depression? One of the hardest things to deal with in this whole course is that you really are responsible for your own happiness. And we hear that all the time. It's kind of, I think people are starting to become aware that you can't focus on someone else to make you happy.
Right.
I see a lot of people that, especially sort of from sex coaching,
a
lot of people that you watch go from relationship to relationship to relationship without ever really dealing with what's going on with them. They're trying to fill something and find happiness through another person. And as soon as you realize that regardless of who you're with, it all depends on you.
On who you are, yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean you want to stick in an unhealthy relationship by any means. But there's always going to be little arguments.
Oh, for sure, that's life, right?
Yeah, and or your kids are maybe driving you nuts or whatever. I mean, you can't have kids to make you happy, but they should. I mean, they're blessings for sure. Yeah. But there's going to be times when they piss you off and they're not going to make you happy. That's just the way that life works out. So you are responsible for your own happiness, so let's try to make you happy.
And ultimately, that's the goal, isn't it? Happiness, right? No one, I don't think, wants to be depressed.
Yeah.
Or no one wants to be anxious more than they want to be happy. I think someone asked me one time, "What's your definition of success?" And I said, "Just happiness.
Just happiness.
I just want to be happy when I wake up and when I go to sleep, and I can think of, some joyful moments in my day, and I can have some experiences." I think that's that's life, right?
What is it that makes you happy right now? What are some of the things that?
For sure, playing music, playing my guitar.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling kind of down, and I have been kind of feeling down, not too terribly much, but I play my guitar a ton.
You seem like when you come in here, some days you kind of in the past, you've been really energized and making jokes and cracking comedy. The last few times I can tell, I'm starting to get to know you a little better.
Yeah.
And I can tell you're looking a little more drained out and a little more just dealing with some stuff.
Yeah, I think that I'm okay with it. It happens basically every August and September.
It does, eh?
Yeah.
So
and I know what it is. It's stuff that has happened in my past that has happened during these months, and I've really tried to work on not focusing on those as much, because I used to dwell on them and dwell on them and dwell on them. Right. And I'm just kind of dealing with them, and it's just a slower process, I think, than dealing with them. And I've just done a lot of kind of reflection, and maybe I have not gone into a depressive state, just kind of slowed my energy down a little bit when I think about this stuff. There's some people that have been taken from me during these months, and I really think about those people every day. I don't think I'll ever not think about them, and that's kind of why.
Well,
I just deal with them. And I'm okay with it. I have no shame in that stuff. It's part of who I am, right? I think depression's like a dopamine deficiency, and that's it. So I try to do things like play music, or when I'm out on the ice, I wish I could be out on the ice 6 days a week or 7 days a week right now, because when I'm out on the ice, I don't think about anything.
Right.
When I'm skating or when I'm coaching this hockey team, I don't think about anything else. I think about this. My passion, and that is my passion, is hockey. So I think about that, but I mean, no one can be on the ice for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
No, we can't.
You die, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I just deal with it the best I can with good people, to good people, and just kind of keep the support around me.
We need to get you meditating, my man.
Yeah, I've been trying to meditate a little bit more, and especially in the last 2 weeks, it hasn't been going great.
No?
To be honest.
You're just getting stuck in your head?
Stuck in my head, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The whole idea behind that is to get out of your head.
Yeah.
Right? Just be.
I am, and then it'll be like something that's happened 10 years ago. And I'm like, why am I thinking about this? Like, it's 10 years.
You know, I think the more you stick with it, this is the thing that most people don't understand about meditation, is that, like, years and years and years of suppression, it's going to come out. It's going to come out. So, like, when you sit there and you're trying to kind of just focus on your breathing, everything has to just be released at some point in time.
Yeah.
You will have to face it. So, like, it doesn't mean quit meditating. It means, hey, this came up, I'll just have to let it go. Now, it just look at it as a sign of something that you bottled down. Now it's coming up. Let's just, now that you're focused on it, it's probably the last time you'll have to let it go.
Right.
And keep going.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's
really
hard.
Yeah. It's a daily practice. I gotta admit that it is a daily practice, and I don't practice it every day.
Right.
You know? So maybe I should focus on that a little bit more. I maybe have gone into a little bit of a depressive state, but nothing major, man. It's nothing to worry about.
I'm not good. I know I'm here for you.
Yeah.
And every time that you're showing up, I'm always happy to see you.
Good. I love giving you a hug, man.
I know, man. It's the best part of the Sunday.
Yeah.
So, in terms of happiness, we know that we're responsible for our own happiness. And as frightening as that thought may be, there should also be comfort there as well, because that means that no one else holds the power, and no one else can control you. No one else can make you feel better. However, no one else should be able to make you feel bad either.
Yeah.
And I think that's a tough thing for people with anxiety and depression, because we know that you're sensitive. We know that sometimes it's a self-esteem issue.
Right.
And you kind of look for validation from others. So if others say something shitty, you're probably going to be hurt by it. And
you take it personally, you take everything that someone says, maybe even negatively personally, or something that you read into it. I read something the other day that said, I'm only responsible for how I deliver something. I'm not responsible for how someone receives it. And ultimately, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
And same thing on the other end. I'm responsible for how I receive things when other people are, being dicks, or what I perceive as being dicks, right? They're just maybe being themselves, or maybe they've had a tough day, and I take that personally,
right?
And they're just being them, right?
Yeah,
being them
sure.
in their own state. So.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of important just to realize that if we're talking about how we can make ourselves feel better, that also means we can build ourselves up to the point that no one else can tear us down.
Yeah.
And that's something to really focus on doing, because the more that you try to work on yourself, the less anyone else has power over.
Right. That's
it's the same thing that we were just kind of talking about. When you look for love or someone else to make you feel that, you're never going to be happy.
Well, it's like trying to get instant gratification, right? And there's no resilience in instant gratification. So I want to be resilient. I want to be a resilient man.
I know you do. Same with me. And in this day and age, unfortunately, the instant gratification is just getting quicker and quicker.
You betcha.
So you're in control of your own life, your own happiness, and your own destiny. Whatever you want to control, or whenever you want to control a difficult situation in your life, it usually involves some type of change. This is one of the things people have the most difficulty with. We are creatures of habit. So this whole hour-long talk that we're going to be doing is all about changing and trying to find the courage to change, because we've given everyone, we're on week 12 now. The last... However, we've even done 14 of these. This would be 15, right? Mm-hmm. So the 14 episodes, we've talked about tools, whether it's breathing exercises, whether it's putting up a stop sign when you notice that a thought is continually, a negative thought is always happening, putting up that stop sign, going back to breathing, and just letting it go. We've given the tools here. So now it's just about, if you're not using them, why? Why aren't you moving forward? What is it that you're getting out of being anxious, or being stressed, or being depressed?
Sometimes it's that bullshit story in our head, though.
It is.
That we're like, I can't use that tool. And I have the tool in my toolbox, right? And it's some bullshit story telling me that I can't use that, or it's never going to work, right? And I think that's failing even before you try. That's contempt prior to investigation, right?
Yeah, for sure. And what do you recommend doing if someone is...
Just do it anyways. Feel the fear and do it anyways.
Perfect, and we're going to get to that. Yeah.
I think that's one of the only ways that you can really... And I mean, you get a little victory out of that.
Yeah.
When you go through something that you're anxious about and you get through the other side, you're like, holy shit, I did that.
I'm still alive. Wow.
I'm okay,
I didn't have a panic attack to death.
And that's a little victory.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, that's possible. I can do that again. I can maybe even push my comfort zone a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's important.
Yeah.
Because as we're going to get into, you need to start, if you want any kind of progress and any kind of growth, you have to start doing the things that you really have been avoiding, and you have to use the tools that we put out there to kind of help you move forward, so that you can see that you will survive, so that you can see, hey, I can handle this. I'm not as weak as I thought, or this is something that will be rewarding for me. You'll start to feel good at the end of the day by doing these things. Little victories, baby steps, right?
That's what I think, for sure.
For sure. So the most mature organisms in the world are any kind of organisms that change and adapt in the most comfortable fashion. It's extremely difficult to admit you're getting something out of being anxious or depressed, but you really are getting something out of this negative behavior. So much of our lives, we tend to see things in extremes. It's either this way, or it's that way, or it's totally black and white. We need to examine exactly what it is that's keeping you stuck. And that black and white is a really big thing.
Yeah.
Because I know that when I stopped drinking, for example, people always think like, well, how did you just kind of stop? And it's one of those situations where I didn't start saying I'm never going to drink again.
Right.
I started saying, it started with this course, with this program, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to touch a drop of alcohol until I get through this program and get over my anxiety and depression and stress.
Right. And
get all that under control. And by the time that I was done this, I felt so good and so alive, I didn't even want any. So
sometimes you have to even break that down to a moment. For me, I'd say I can't drink for the next 10 minutes.
Right.
It was literally down to how do I stay sober for 10 minutes?
And then,
and then you do another 10, maybe another 10. You're like, oh my God, I'm sober a whole day.
Right, absolutely.
That's the wildest thing. Those first few days that you don't drink, I don't know about for you, but those first 4 days, I was so miserable. I was like, this ain't worth it.
Right.
This is not worth it at all. And maybe by day 30, 35, I was like, it's starting to get worth it.
Right.
And now I'm almost 4 years clean. I'm like, it's definitely worth it.
Right.
It's so definitely worth. I don't know if I could have dealt with this stuff drinking.
No, you can't. I don't think you can.
I don't know if you could. Yeah.
We've talked about how important it is if you're trying to do this stuff to just maybe at least take a little bit of time off to clear your mind. I think that alcohol stays in your brain up to a week after you've had
for sure
drinking, right?
Yeah.
So you have to if you're drinking on a Friday night, Saturday night, and then just recovering through that work week and then doing it all over again. How are you ever going to have a clear mind to do any kind of change?
Right, that's exactly it. And change is difficult.
It's difficult enough to sober.
Exactly, it's hard. Change is hard, but I think the best thing I ever heard is every single thing on the planet changes. The leaves change. Yeah. Street lights change.
Everything's always in flux.
Right.
In motion.
We kind of live in a fluid world, right? So
we have to.
We have to almost embrace that change, right?
Yeah. You can fight age. You can fight everything. It doesn't mean it's not happening.
Yeah.
Right. Change is always happening. You might as well learn to adapt to it, and you might as well try these skills because, as Paulie said earlier, and I totally agree with him, the anxiety of being stuck and staying anxious and depressed is way worse than the little bit of anxiety it may take to create change.
To go through it, yeah.
So much of our lives we tend to see it in black and white, and it's so true.
Yeah.
And it's just one extreme to the other, and maybe this is where the baby steps again is huge. Right?
And that's all it is, right? It's just little victories, baby steps.
Yeah.
No, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? You don't have to change your whole life in a day. It's just maybe doing one thing a little bit different tomorrow than you did today.
And all the stuff that we're talking about, if you're not practicing it every day, or doing some sort of relaxation or meditation or any kind of self-care. Some people go to the gym and create endorphins, which I think is a good thing. Working out and eating healthy is a great thing, but it doesn't necessarily, it might make you feel kind of healthy here, but it doesn't totally take control of a mental workout.
Right.
And I think that's where the relaxation, breathing exercises, and meditation need to be added to a fitness regime. But I also think that's good stuff.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So where were we here?
I have written down here about change that you get out what you put into it. And that's really change is inevitable. And suffering through that change, that's optional. You don't have to suffer through that change, right? You can. There's if you put in some time with change, the outcome can be magical, really, ultimately. And if you don't put a lot in, I think that with recovery, right? Recovery is what you put into it.
Yeah.
If you're always relapsing, if you're always blaming other people, or you're blaming something in the past for you drinking, then ultimately you have to stop that blaming, right? Because you put an expectation on other people to stop your drinking, and expectations are basically just premeditated resentments, right?
Right.
No one got me sober. No one said, I'm going to put a gun to your head and you're going to stay sober for 4 years, right?
Sure.
That was a choice that I had to make.
Although, I mean, you've been close to that, right?
Yeah, I certainly have been close to that. But I needed to get sober, I needed to get sober for me and by me, and I couldn't get sober for anyone else. And I think that change, as shitty as it was in the beginning, there's been a little bit of beauty in it. You can look back and see beauty in change.
This is a little bit off topic here. Do you think that when you were going through all the addiction and battling the alcohol and the drugs and all that stuff, do you think that you were lacking self-love?
Oh, 100%. I didn't love myself at all.
Right, so you just didn't care.
No.
So what advice do you have to give to people that are in that state right now where they don't love themselves and that's why they're doing all this shit?
Reach out to people that love you until you can love yourself. I think that's the best thing that happened to me is I didn't have the ability at that time to love myself, but I had the ability to talk to other people, right? And so I had to break that wall down of being vulnerable and saying, hey, listen, I feel this way, or I feel suicidal, or I feel depressed, right? And allowing someone to love me. That was a tough thing too, is allowing someone to love me. And I think self-love is huge, right? I struggled with that for years. I remember when I was losing my teeth, I wouldn't look in a mirror.
Right.
And so I would shave my face in the shower. I'd brush my teeth in the shower. And that lasted until I don't know, probably 2 years sober. I started brushing my teeth in front of the mirror.
Right.
And I was like, wow, this is a huge step that I can look in the mirror. And I think that all had to do with self-love. And it worked. It's hard. It's one of those things. It's hard because you don't want people to think, "Oh, he's cocky."
Right. Sure.
I think I'm not cocky. I'm confident, and I've had to work fucking hard for this confidence.
I think you know what, dude. Though a lot of that confidence comes from making good decisions rather than bad ones.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you can be proud about. I see all these people that go to the clubs and the bars and everything, and I understand that's kind of the way our society functions. But you make terrible choices, and you have to pay for that the rest of the week, sometimes the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So that's, of course you're not going to love yourself if you're continually making shitty decisions. Right. And I was that person. I don't think that I necessarily didn't love myself. I didn't love the choices I was making, but I kept making them.
Exactly.
So maybe I didn't love myself.
Yeah. I think that we all have to have some sort of self-love.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we all have to. If we want to be productive members of society, we gotta love ourselves a little bit, right? And if we want to get through this depression and anxiety, we gotta try to at least be open-minded to love yourself a little bit, right? It doesn't mean flaunt yourself and be cocky. It just means giving yourself a little bit of love.
Well, I think that if your love tank isn't full as an individual, you don't have anything to give to anyone else.
Exactly.
And I think that's a big thing too. As soon as you really truly love yourself and you can give yourself to someone else confidently, knowing that you're worthy and they're worthy and vice versa, it also works to the rest of society. You want to help other people that don't love themselves, right?
Exactly.
How do we get you to a place where you can actually contribute to society rather than take from it and take?
Yeah. I always think, figure out, make a list. What's the thing that you want to do with your life? Write that down. Write down the steps that you got to take, right? Reevaluate that in 6 months. Have you taken those steps? If not, then whose fault is it?
Right.
The steps, you've written them down on how to get to your goal.
Yeah.
Look back at 6 months. Have you taken, even if you've taken one step, that's a victory, right?
Yeah, for sure. And that's where the expectations come in. Make them realistic.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't try to do a whole page full of change in a month.
No, it's write 4 things down that you want to have happen in a year.
Yeah.
And what do you want to do? What steps does that take? Look at it in half a year and say, okay, I'm halfway. How many steps have I taken?
Yeah.
If you've taken 1 step or you're on your way to 1 step, that's a little victory.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's how we set goals and we don't sell ourselves short.
I agree. I think goal setting is a great thing to do. But again, when you have anxiety and depression, you kind of tend to be a perfectionist as well. Yeah. And you'll set these goals and then you'll be disappointed in yourself.
They got to be realistic, right?
Yeah,
they have to be, get out of bed every day as often as I can.
Little things, baby steps.
That doesn't mean get out of bed every single day, and if I don't, I'm going to kick the shit out of myself. I mean, write it down every day I get out of bed.
Yeah.
See if there's more days that I get out of bed than not.
Right,
you know?
absolutely.
Those little goals if you're going through that stuff.
Right, absolutely. I agree with you, buddy. And we're going to get into the anxiety and depression excuses here and why some people use them. Because maybe right now you're thinking, I do have anxiety and depression, but there's no fucking way I'm getting anything from this bullshit. Right? It's just who I am or whatever. And that's an excuse in itself. That's just who I am. When you say something like, that's just who I am, I'm built that way, you've already fucked yourself over.
You put a limit right there.
Yeah, you already just said that you're not willing to change, you're not capable of change, and you're just going to stay stuck.
Yeah.
And if you feel shitty, what are you getting out of it? So for me, I'll be honest and say what I was getting out of it, at least I think I was. For me, it was so beautifully used as my excuse not to.
Yeah.
So this is where my what if thinking tends to kick in. So like, my excuse would be, it was my excuse not to do all the things that I wanted to do. Yet as soon as I take an anti-anxiety medication, it's the same year. I mean, I've obviously taken them before as well, but the one that actually started working for me, and I started not using the excuses, got on a reality TV show right away. Right? So like it shows you, and then where are my excuses? Oh shit, like I can't really excuse myself from this.
No, yeah.
So for me, it was like, okay, it's my excuse not to try. It's my excuse not to start that business, not to start that relationship. So I use it as an excuse just to stay safe because I didn't think I was capable of the responsibility of all.
Did you not think that you were, like, was a part of it, like, that you didn't think you were worthy of that?
Sure.
You know?
I think a big part was, I think it was just easier to go to the bar with the group of people I surrounded myself with that I thought were cool at the time. Because we made fun of everyone, so apparently we must have been cool, right?
Cool, yeah.
And that was the cool thing to do. And I think that I was just so afraid of what other people would think, and I'd lose my friends. And if I tried to change and be the person that I wanted to be, maybe I wouldn't be lovable by the people that love me right now.
Right.
And that's a crock of shit, because if...
You're loved. You know that.
I do,
you're loved and you're worthy. Right?
I do. Thank you, my man. I appreciate that. And I do realize that. And the thing for me is that those relationships weren't healthy anyway. Like, you can never change someone else.
Yeah.
You can only change yourself, and we'll get into this again. You can only change yourself, and then how they adapt and react to it is on them.
Absolutely.
If the relationship is meant to be there, that then forces them to change.
Right.
To stay with you or to stay a part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so by working on this, you might, and that might make you nervous, you might lose some people, but guess what? They're probably not people that are making you feel like $1 million anyway.
Right, exactly.
Right? So
stick around your tribe, you know, the tribe that builds you up and supports you and loves you and encourages you.
And some of the other excuses people use for holding on to anxiety and stress and depression, it can keep you stuck in relationships that aren't healthy. It can keep you stuck in a job that you don't really like. It can keep you in a lifestyle where you'll always have something to complain about. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Who are you going to be without your complaining mentality?
Some people are so focused on chaos that if they get a little glimpse of calmness, they have to create their chaos.
Yeah,
right?
and that's tough. I was like that, I think, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
I think that I couldn't sit peacefully still, and that's why...
Well, because your anxiety is going to go, right? If it gets peaceful, then your anxiety is going to come up and there's no chaos.
Yeah.
In some sort of twisted, sick way, chaos eases your anxiety.
It does, because then you have something to focus on other than the anxiety.
Other than the anxiety, right?
But when you attack the anxiety, you attack the depression, you attack the stress,
then the less
you don't want the chaos.
No,
it's gone.
Yeah.
And you can handle the stresses of everyday life, like doing your taxes and paying your bills.
Right.
It becomes a little bit easier when you don't have the other bullshit going on, right?
Yeah.
That you've really created for no purpose other than to keep yourself busy and pass the time.
That's it. And what kind of life is that, really?
But the thing is, it's probably a good 90% of the population living it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
for sure.
When it comes to change, the anxiety and depression that comes from staying stuck, and we've touched on this a few times now, but it's so much worse than the anxiety of moving forward. It may be new territory to explore, but it's worth it. Change can be so exciting when you choose the right attitude and perspective. I agree with that 100%.
I agree. I wrote that exact same thing down. That the anxiety and depression comes from, just staying stuck. It's so much worse, right? It might feel debilitating to go through something that you're anxious about, right? But staying stuck for so long, it's just going to keep you stagnant.
Absolutely.
That's all it's going to do. And I think even if you're crawling, I wrote that on my Facebook the other day. Like, even if you're crawling, you're still moving forward.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. And if it means going through something that you're anxious about slower, so be it.
Even if you move back, that's okay.
That's all right. Yeah.
Right. Just remember
just
that.
Don't stay there.
No.
You know,
it's not a good space to be. You always want to be pushing yourself to do something a little bit uncomfortable. That's the only way you grow.
Right.
And I like to think of all humans as like trees. If you're not growing, you're dying. And I know that a lot of people say, I think that's Tony Robbins originally or something like that. But what are you doing if you're not growing? You're existing?
Yeah. And what a shitty life that is to just exist.
You gotta at least try. You have to at least try and try your best to
just embrace change. You know, like embrace it a little bit, and it could be the greatest thing. Ultimately, you know, for guys like us who thought, oh, I'm going to drink every day the rest of my life. That change of not drinking has provided us with opportunities that we would have never had if we were still drinking.
For sure, and relationships with people that are so much deeper than the connections I have. I don't think
superficial.
So superficial. Anyone that I ever went to the bars with, I mean, some of them you could have meaningful conversations. But I don't want to smash all of them because some of them are great people. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of the people I go out with just wanted to take me out or to go out together so that they weren't drinking alone.
Right.
Everything else, they didn't care about me. They cared about who they saw at the bar.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And how superficial is that,
fucking
right?
bullshit. Yeah. Fuck off, man.
There's no like weight with that either. You know what I mean? Like how great is our friendship if we go to the bar and you just want to be seen?
Yeah, you just want to be seen, or you just want to see this girl or that guy or whatever.
And there's no depth. Like
it's just what outfit you're gonna wear. Yeah. You know, your tits are hanging out or whatever, right?
I was lucky if I got into a bar. You know what I mean? Like, I was just lucky because I was a big fan of pre-drinking.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a victory if I got in. If I didn't get turned away, then I won.
You know why you were a big fan of pre-drinking? This is kombucha, by the way. This isn't beer, for anyone that's wondering. But the reason why, man, is because you preferred the intimate moments of the pre-drinking because that was more depth at the bar. Who are these people, right?
I wasn't a big fan of the bar because a lot of the times, probably more times than not, I would get kicked out. And that was... I knew that. I was cognizant of that I probably wouldn't be there till the last call. Very rarely would I make it to last call.
Yeah.
So I needed to get my party in before.
No, I hear you, man. I was exactly the same way, especially when I was younger.
Yeah.
That's why a few ambulance rides later.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah. But where were we here, man? I'm getting lost. Okay, if you really want to grow spiritually, mentally, physically, and in your relationships, you have to expect change. It's a healthy part of life and the life experience. This is the hardest part for people with anxiety and depression to see. They don't think they're getting anything out of this condition. Like a lot, and I don't think I did it when I originally looked at it. And don't beat yourself up if you can't see this yet, because you might think that you get nothing out of it, but maybe you're getting some attention from someone that you didn't get before because maybe they like taking care of you. Maybe they like that feeling.
That's very true, yeah.
And so maybe you, by staying anxious and depressed, or you get stressed out easily, maybe that enables your partner or whoever to feel important because now they're taking care of you. They have purpose. And maybe you want to stay stuck because you feel that they won't love you if you change. If you're still, that feeling, like we've talked about, that feeling is way worse than making the change and seeing what happens. Promise you.
It's almost like it's a power that we all have. This courage stuff, right? We all do have courage.
Yep.
And I think that it's just a level of courageousness, right?
Where are you at?
Right? And I think that we can all get to another level too. It just maybe takes time and some work and using some tools, right? Like using the CBT, or we all can have the courage to change, and it can all be a smooth process or it can be a shady process, right? It's really up to our attitudes.
It is. It's
how that process goes.
And it all comes back to how are you thinking, right? Like, what's your perspective?
The victim mentality is never going to help change.
No.
Like having a victim mentality during change is not going to progress that very fast.
Right. Right. And this is true. We know this. You don't do anything that you aren't getting something out of. So every single behavior, even if it's negative, brings about something that you think is worth continuing for that behavior. So as we're talking about this, you are definitely getting something out of this, even if it's on a subconscious level, and it may very well be.
Yeah.
You might have to do some searching for that one. And if you can't figure it out, just know that you probably are getting something out of it, and it's time to change.
Right.
Examples of negative behavior you might be maintaining are depression, anger, any kind of ongoing physical illness, anxiety, fear, guilt, hostility, and procrastination. You get something out of holding on to these. And for me, mine was physical illness. I would always feel sick, and it was my anxiety and depression, or just being really overly stressed.
Right.
And when I was always feeling sick, I realized it was almost like I was making myself sick.
A form of avoidance.
Yeah, exactly. Because I didn't want to avoid real life. I didn't want to avoid, being a real estate broker. I wasn't a huge fan of my job. It's okay.
Right.
I don't mind it, but I didn't feel like I was making an impact. I didn't feel like I was as successful as I could have been. Right. And it was the one job where you could be sick a lot. You're in business for yourself. Mm-hmm. And it also enabled me to just kind of let life pass me by. I could watch movies and it was an escape. And I was thinking about this today, actually. I thought, we think about drugs and using drugs as an escape or alcohol as an escape, but anxiety can be an escape too. And depression, because you can just use that to escape your everyday tasks. Yeah,
for sure.
And you're not thinking, and eventually you sleep long enough, you're not thinking clearly, you watch enough movies, you're starting to think like you're a fucking movie star. Yeah. I mean, and I was there too. One time I went through the full season all the seasons of Sopranos. I thought it was Tony Soprano, It was a dick to people for a bit. But
I'm glad you're not that.
Yeah, I know. A common trait people with anxiety and depression tend to possess is trying to justify their present behavior. They have 1,000 reasons or excuses as to why they are so miserable right now and why they should stay this way, even though they don't even realize they're doing it.
Yeah. I had that written down too, just about justification to why you shouldn't change.
Right.
I have to stay this way or this will happen. Or I got to justify this way so I'm not assertive.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think being assertive is a good thing.
And, absolutely.
And we built this kind of thing in anxiety, and maybe anxiety is built this way that we find justification in not being assertive.
Right.
Which is, I can't do that, I'm too scared.
Right.
I think fear is the biggest motivator.
Right.
Or it should be, right? I hate being scared.
Sure.
I hate it.
Fear is what stops most people from any change.
Yeah,
really.
For sure. Because it's fear of the unknown, right?
Or fear of rejection. Fear of success, even.
I had a huge fear of success for a long time.
Right.
And I think, would I rather be scared of success or scared of failure?
Right.
I think at failure, I'm still going to learn. At success, I'm going to be successful.
As long as that fear of failure doesn't stop you from trying.
Because I define success as happiness. Why am I scared to be happy? I deserve to be happy. I'm worthy of happiness, right? And it's not about what's in my bank account. It's not about what I drive. It's
not
about my happiness and who I am at my core, right? And for me to justify that, not to be like that, I'm selling myself short.
Right.
I'm not giving myself a lot of self-love if that's it.
And that brings me to the next point, and I wanted to ask you about this because Lucinda said in the audio that people sort of might, with excuses, what they are excuses, might say that they had a difficult past, they might say they had a rough childhood, their parents were both struggling with mental health issues, addiction perhaps, and alcohol to cope. I was abused, and this is what she said, so I wanted your input on that. It's important to understand what your resistance behaviors are and what they're doing to avoid letting go of your anxiety and depression. What did you think when she said something like that? Did that hit home at all?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I was so used to being in a victim mentality for so long that I didn't know how to be in a thriving kind of mentality or surviving mentality. So I was so used to being in that victim mentality, and I was so angry at myself. Ultimately, that's why I was still a victim of myself, and that's what it was. It wasn't that the stuff that that happened to me younger was still happening to me. It was that I was making that stuff and those feelings still stay inside me and not letting them go. It was almost like a...
Were you reliving it in a way?
Oh, I still relive it.
Really?
I still relive it when I have nightmares now. It's just a lot less than living throughout the day. It was debilitating so that I couldn't go to work.
Right.
I couldn't go to work because I thought, well, my boss at one time raped me at a job interview. I can't go for another job interview ever.
Right.
So that stopped me from going and getting a legitimate job and making legitimate money, So I was like, what do I do? Well, this happened to me, so I'm just going to be a victim. I'm just going to continue to be a victim.
So to anyone else out there that's using that as an excuse to stay anxious and depressed, what's your advice to them?
Talk about it. I think that, like, I'm successful now because I got that stuff out of me.
Right.
Like, and I didn't keep that in. I didn't listen to society saying, or, you know, my family before saying, you know, shove that stuff down, don't ever let it out. I went against the grain, and it was tough. It's been a tough time to get that stuff out, but it's so gratifying. It's so worth it to get this stuff out rather than keep it in, you know.
So opening up and talking about it and sharing. So for anyone that's still afraid, I mean, we've multiple times we've said you can talk to either one of us.
Yeah, for sure.
And we mean that. And I think that's kind of the way to get started, or talk to people that you know that you can trust.
Even if you have to write it down, just get it outside of you, you know.
Right,
because
like journal.
It's like if you think, if I think that I'm hurting this person who did this to me, by holding on to that, you know what I mean? It's like drinking poison and hoping they're going to die.
Right.
You know, it doesn't. It doesn't anything. Like, that person doesn't know that I'm mad. The only person that's really hurting in all this is me.
Right.
But being a victim, right?
Yeah.
And, like, you know, what purpose does that serve? That person doesn't even know or care to know how I'm feeling.
Right.
You know, so I might as well. It's like one of those. I remember a guy said, "Shit or get off the pot."
Yeah.
You know, you got to get well or not get well. And Shawshank Redemption, right? Like, get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah.
And you have to make that cognitive choice to get busy living. I have written down here, like, if you have a miserable life, that equals a choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's a choice every time. If you have a miserable life, that's a choice. You have a choice to have a happy life too. And you got to take steps to get a happy life, whatever your happiness is, whatever your definition of happiness is.
Right. No, I agree with you, buddy. And I'm glad that you were able to bring that up, because there definitely are people out there that still hold on, and this is where stigma comes in, that still hold on to their past and have a tough time letting it go, or even talking about it, right? And they're kind of dwelling on it and ruminating about it. And they need to hear it from someone that's been through that shit, and can give them advice.
Yeah. Use that pain as your power.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I finally did. I didn't let it have power over me. I got power over it. I think that a lot of that happened when I was in court.
Yeah.
And I got to give this person his shit back, his embarrassment, his guilt, his shame, and say it's yours. You know, it's
yours
not,
to deal with.
It's not my shame. It's my story to tell.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, and I took my power back. I think we can all, when we've been through trauma, we can take that power back.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how your situation, they won't have the opportunity to relive your situation, how they do it in their own way.
It's all individualistic, right?
Yeah.
But I think that we all have to, at some point, not let anyone have power over us.
Right.
You know,
I agree.
We gotta have power over ourselves.
I agree. And that's the thing, is having power over yourself also means change.
Yeah.
Right?
You gotta make that change.
Because right now it could be totally you that's holding yourself down.
Right.
It may be hard to believe, but you're definitely getting something out of holding on to this negative behavior. Perhaps it helps you to avoid conflict, and you need to work on being assertive. As you said, buddy, good call. Perhaps you're afraid to start a new relationship because of past experiences. Whatever happened with, like, did you ever have a fear of starting a new relationship?
Oh, absolutely. I think I really struggled with that relationship stuff because I was in a relationship when I was when I was sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
And my partner at the time didn't believe me.
Right.
You know,
so
and
that was a huge trust thing.
That was huge for trust, right? And so I've taken that to every single relationship I've ever had, right?
Yeah.
Like, not that they're not going to trust me about what happened. I mean, if anyone wants to see you can go to Freedom of Information and see a conviction report. It's not like it didn't happen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was just really thrown off that Amber at the time. My partner at the time didn't believe me, and she wanted me to go to the police and tell them that it didn't happen, and that really screwed up me trusting anyone for anything.
Right.
Because this is a person that I was living with, and you know, I don't know if I was really in love with her, to be honest with you. I think that we were just playing house.
Right.
Ultimately,
you're young. You're young.
I was so young at that time.
In your new relationship now, how have you worked through that? Or is that triggering some anxiety at all? Or are you getting through that? Like,
I think that it's, I'm very open with it.
Yeah.
And my partner now supports that and loves it and doesn't really even look at what I've been through. Right. At all. It's kind of a non-issue. That's
cool.
And that's like the first time I've ever had that. I think.
Right.
And that's healthy. That's a non-issue. It's not who I am. That's a long time ago, and this is who I am now. And you know, I don't regret the things that I've been through because it's built this person that I am today, and I'm okay with being open with that. And my partner's okay with. She can ask me questions anytime about anything that I've been through, and we've had that conversation. It was something that I had to get out early in the relationship. Obviously, you gotta toss that out because it's a thing that you don't want someone to find that out after a year of dating that you're a sexual abuse survivor.
Right, sure.
It's one of those things that I had to let go of right away and get that out and open up about it. And it's awesome to have a partner that embraces that and doesn't kind of look down on me and just says, I'm going to support you and love you through all this, no matter if you have triggers or if you have this kind of stuff. It's really cool.
So what you're saying is it's really important to always make sure that, your past experience is your past experience, but the person that you're potentially partnering up with is not that person.
No.
It's time to kind of leave that and tell them about it, but let them know and help you through it.
Yeah.
They might have some skills to help you.
Well, they might have a different perspective, and that's, I think, what's wrong with someone else's perspective, right?
Yeah.
It's very narrow-minded if I think my perspective is the only way.
100%.
I need other people's perspective.
100%. So you're getting the excuse you need to live your life to the fullest potential, or you're getting the excuse you need not to live your life to the fullest potential. So basically, anytime that you kind of make an excuse and blame your anxiety or depression, there's probably something that you could be doing that you're maybe afraid of doing.
Oh, yeah.
Subconsciously, it's easier to choose this behavior than it is to make tough decisions. We fear that the anxiety of making the wrong decision may be worse than staying stuck, but that is far from accurate. If you keep moving forward, the opportunity that is best for you will appear. It may take some time, but the anxiety you experience from making change is far easier to handle than the anxiety and depression that occur when you stay still.
Right. I think, why are we making so many excuses about getting well?
I don't know.
We have so many validations for staying depressed.
Yeah.
And so many excuses for not getting well.
Yeah.
We should switch that up, like we should have valid reasons for getting well.
There's lots of things that we should do that we don't, and I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I was just thinking today.
Because we should all over ourselves,
Yeah, but I was just thinking today, if everybody just operated from a sense of if we knew that we went up to someone and that person was going to be friendly to us and there was going to be no fear of them not saying hi or them being dickheads, if everyone was just compassionate and operated from a sense of a good heart and a place of love, think about how different the world would be. We wouldn't be polluting, we wouldn't be killing, slaughtering animals. It would be we'd be helping one another.
It'd be a euphoric kind of society, right?
Yeah, I don't understand why there has to.
Because the yin and the yang.
I know the yin and the yang, but it's fucking annoying.
It's stupid. You know? I think I had an Alcoholics Anonymous sponsor one time, and he said, I used to be miserable. When I came into recovery the first few times, I was miserable. I wouldn't smile. I was just like, don't want to be here. Someone else is making me be here. And this sponsor said, God rest his soul, he's gone. I love him to death. But he gave me the best advice ever. He said, even if you're in the park, smile at someone.
Yeah.
And they might be miserable, and they might be like, why is that guy smiling at me?
Yeah, probably.
And you can piss them off by smiling. And I was you're right, man. This guy was so right. If I walk in Springbank, or if I'm, a lot of older people don't necessarily embrace the tattoos that I have, and they give me some dirty looks, and I just give them smiles. Yeah. I just smile at everyone now, right? In the park, because I think maybe they need that little boost. Yeah. And if they don't, then I piss them off,
I never thought of it that way. That's actually a good way to...
just smile at people, right?
And it makes you feel good.
It does make it... ultimately, that's what it does, right? That's what the point of this guy is.
Even just smiling itself is kind of proven to raise your elevate your mood.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And if you like to piss people off with smiles, kill them with kindness.
Yeah, it's always the best way to operate, but sometimes... we sit here and talk, and we're human too. I know that anger is still something that I have to work on when people fuck with me in a really below the belt kind of way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really vengeance. It's really just shitty. Yeah. That's sometimes I feel like I want to just put people in their place in the most angry way.
Yeah, for sure.
But I also know that I'll end up in jail pretty quick.
Yeah. So we'll let karma handle that.
Yeah, so it takes me a bit. I calm down and let it go.
Give you a 24-hour rule.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. It's because I used to be a pretty angry guy. I used to get in a lot of fights. I used to
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I've been in the police station on video for assault charges. Yeah. I got off, but I've been pretty close. I've been in the ambulance a few times. Yeah. So when I was younger, and it all came from a place of insecurity and a place from trying to impress people that were and also because I was so emotionally weak.
Right.
that I wanted people to see that I was tough on the outside so they wouldn't fuck with me in an emotional way.
Absolutely.
And then I started getting, as soon as you get strong sort of from the inside out, you realize...
You soften up a little bit.
Yeah, and you don't need any of that.
Yeah.
And you can kind of look at people and just see what's going on with them. And it's
Right.
like, instead of being angry and worked up, you kind of have a little bit of compassion. Say, I wonder what happened to them today, or I wonder what's going on in their life that's so bad.
Yeah, yeah.
But that still all comes back to what kind of choices are they making.
Right, exactly.
Right? So,
and we're all bound by our choices.
We are.
You know, ultimately.
For sure. It may seem hard to believe at first, but it is so true that you're getting something from all of this. Right now, you're stuck in a rut of bad, repetitive habits. People will always have 1,000 reasons why they're miserable, angry, and unhappy. Some people, this is perfect for what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Some people actually want to blame their anxiety and depression on other people. It's their children, it's their spouse, it's their parents, etc. It's no one else's fault anymore when you are an adult, which most of you are, I'm assuming, because we try to target 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're younger, you probably still have a little bit of maturing to do, and you can get away with blaming it on other people. But if you're an adult and you're over 18, you're capable of taking responsibility for the way that you feel. And you're also capable of taking the necessary steps to improve and change. Fuck, I wish I had done this stuff back when I was 18, 19 years old. A lot of problems would have been eliminated, But
then you wouldn't be the guy that you are today.
I know, man. I was just going there, right? You always do that. You always like, man, if I could go back in time, this would happen, and I'd change this and I'd change that. But I'm pretty content right now.
Yeah. I don't mind who you are. I think you're a decent guy.
Thanks, buddy.
You're a great guy. I don't change anything.
Vice versa, man. And I think
brother.
so as well. It's just like we talked about with the lotus flower, right? Like,
grows in mud.
Grows in, it's been through, in shit.
I always say in shit.
Comes up through some shit, and it's the beautiful thing at the end. Right now, you're choosing to respond in an anxious way, which justifies all the other thoughts that you have. So, reacting, we've talked about as well. I mean, I think now we're at the point where, again, it all kind of relates, but we talk about how we respond rather than react.
Right. Yeah.
And if we're feeling that urge to react, it's that 10-second rule or the 24-hour rule,
just
right?
give her 5,
You know, it's focus on breathing, and you have to think about whether or not you're even going to remember this in a year.
Right.
And let it go. If not all battles are worth fighting.
Yeah, like pick your battles. Would you rather be right or would you rather be at peace?
Exactly.
You know?
Peace is better.
I'd much rather be at peace.
Peace is underrated. Why does everybody...
It's so underrated.
If you look at everything that happened, and I know we have a lot of U.S. people on here, but what's going on in Virginia, man? That was crazy yesterday.
Yeah, that hurts my heart.
I know. It's just so much hatred.
It is, and love is so much louder. Like, love is so much louder, whether you're black, white, purple, green, turquoise. I don't care what color you are. Love is louder, right?
Yeah.
All our hearts are pink.
I know.
You know, when they cut us open,
some people,
all our hearts are pink.
Some people I wonder.
Some people I wonder about the blackness of their heart.
Yeah, I mean, some of the people starting these political shitstorms.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that's a whole other ball.
It's a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
If you're someone who is very skeptical, critical, cynical, or someone who is always trying to see problems with things, that right there is a sign that you have a hard time to change.
Yeah.
You often do that because if it doesn't work, you're not disappointed, you're not let down, and that way you can always be right. And that's something that really got to me because I started thinking, how many people sacrifice precious time in their lives just so that they can be right. Or try, even if there is no right answer, they want to
prove that they're right.
It's the ego, man.
Yeah,
the ego will get you. But it's not worth it.
Egomaniac.
Yeah, it's not worth it. No. It's really not. Like if you're in a relationship and you're not talking to your significant other for days because you want them to apologize. Yeah, come on. I mean, really?
Pull up your big boy pants, your big girl pants. Let's be adults, right?
Whatever happened to that rule that don't go to bed angry. That's a really good one. Just everybody needs a relaxation tape in the house. Separate. Do your breathing, come back and talk to each other,
Pretty simple.
I just hate that. And I'm guilty of that too. I mean, past relationships that I've been in haven't worked out because of my ego.
Yep, for sure.
I think I can safely say that.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I think for myself as well.
Yeah, and it's just because you same thing. I mean...
You almost sabotage it sometimes, You almost sabotage good relationships because of your ego.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I call them good relationships. I don't know if they were really positive, any of them really... For what I am looking for long term, but I think that it was always in certain instances, things were always my fault.
Right.
And I was always taking the blame, and I really was like, well, she should apologize this time, you know? And then that's when I really got it. Like, nope, that's not going to happen.
You put the expectations on them, if they don't meet them, done.
But there's a way to express yourself, and I think that, like, I don't know, I think that if you're always operating with the intention of taking care of the other person, and if you can drop the selfish feelings of, like, I need to be right, and focus on, like, how are they feeling? What did I do to make them feel shitty? And then start to build them up again and make them feel love. I think that's a good way to do it.
For sure.
But anyways, let's get back on track here. It all ties together, though. It really does.
I have written down here, like, about the open-mindedness, that open-mindedness equals self-control. You know, like, when you're open-minded, you're not letting outside forces kind of ruin where your goal is at, right? When you're open-minded to other things of change, you're not going to let that fear close your mind up. You know what I mean? You have to kind of stay vigilant to stay open-minded and say, I've never used this tool to get through this, right? But I'm going to try that, and I'm going to remain open-minded so that I can maybe try to get through this. What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying a new resource, a new tool, what do you have to lose? If it doesn't work, then you're where you started.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going backwards.
No, I agree.
And if it works, then you're ahead of the game.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Why not be ahead of the game? You got another thing that you can teach someone else.
And being ahead of the game, I mean, you can go both ways, right? Like, even if you make the wrong decision, you're behind. There's no competition here, right? Like,
life's life,
Yeah, you learn your lesson and you keep going.
Yeah.
So, what you need to try to do in this situation is put all of that kind of thinking aside, realize it's a bad habit, be more open-minded to the whole process of change. That's how you'll gain more control and start to recover. So exactly what you said, buddy. And that comes again from the negative thinking and already kind of saying you're not going to change and all that. So
that just closes up. That just puts up a wall, puts up a limit.
Yeah.
You know, and then you complain, right?
Absolutely.
I can't get over this. Well, you've built a wall that you've stuck yourself inside of.
Yeah. And you need to change the way that you react.
For sure.
And the way that you think. If you can say things like, all right, here we go again. I mean, if you say things like, this is just how I am, of course you won't change. You're already putting yourself in a rut. You automatically limit yourself. It means you don't want to change, and you don't want to grow, and you don't want to try anything new. It's a very closed-minded outlook.
Yeah.
When you have the desire to change, it's like opening up a whole new world. It's like being born again. Every day there are all kinds of new things to do and new opportunities to explore. New foods to try, new dances to dance, new clothing to wear, new relationships to try. There are so many exciting new things in life. You need to get out there and start opening up your mind and your heart to anything that's new and different and possible.
Absolutely.
And I hope that everyone's kind of at that stage. If you've been watching frequently and practicing some of the stuff that we're talking about, even if not, I mean, we're just here to kind of shoot the shit and to help people realize this is okay.
Yeah.
This is okay. So if you're one of those people working or walking around saying to yourself, that's just the way I am, replace that thought with, it's time I changed. Just stop thinking in old patterns. That will keep you stuck. It will keep you from growing, and it will keep you from healing.
If nothing changes, nothing changes.
No.
You know, like...
It's the same whole insanity kind of thing. Like you do the same thing over and over again.
Expecting different results. Yeah.
Time to step outside of that
outside of that comfort zone. I like to think that now, maybe being in recovery, going through a lot of kind of therapies and opening up my... like educating myself on this stuff, that I have kind of a 40,000 foot view of things, and like I like to have that bigger picture, kind of not so narrow minded,
meta view.
Just a meta view of life, right? Like long term, like not putting myself in the long term, but how are these actions gonna, affect my long term, like good and bad or indifferent,
Right. Did you find that came with sobriety?
Yeah.
Me too. Sure. Because like right now, I can look ahead like years.
Yeah.
Whereas before I was just looking ahead next weekend.
Yeah.
So for example, like you and I are both going back to school for different things. And people might see that as a step back. I see that as a huge step forward. Because no one sees my final vision.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell anyone about my final vision completely. Yeah, I may tell you.
But
there's certain things
I won't tell anyone.
Yeah, there's certain things along the way that will kind of like projects and whatnot that will all equal one grand result. Yeah. And that's going to take years and years for me to accomplish. I know that. But when I was doing real estate and still making 6 figures a year, I looked like I was successful to the outside person.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm still going to the bars, spending my paycheck on fucking alcohol and drugs. And women and whatever
Hookers
else.
and blow, right?
Well, when I was in a relationship, no, but afterwards, yeah.
Yeah, and that's
when you're going through those phases.
Yeah.
I mean, we can laugh
about them now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what we limited ourselves to.
That was and who does, like, how many people are out there doing that right now? I mean, it's just
Tons.
And if that's where you are right now, we're not ragging on you. It's just like,
you don't have to live that way.
You live however you want, and if that makes you happy. But for people like you and for me, it doesn't work for us. No. And I think I need something more. I know I need something.
Oh yeah.
So it'll also keep you from experiencing a host of wonderful things that life has to offer. Procrastination is another great resistance behavior. If you're one of those people that say to yourself, yeah, I'm going to wait. This is a big one for me. I was a huge procrastinator until, I'm going to wait until I'm going to wait until whatever. You can use a million different things.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait until I don't have anxiety anymore. I'm going to wait until my wife, is, I don't know. I don't even know where to go with that.
The only time that procrastination's really been great for me, and I do make light of this a little bit, but the greatest time that procrastination's been worked for me is when I was suicidal.
Really?
Yeah. They're like,
that's a positive.
I'm suicidal, but I'm not going to I'll do it tomorrow.
Well, okay, that's actually, I never thought of it that way.
That's probably, I'm not saying procrastination is the greatest, but it maybe saved my life.
Really?
Because I would say, I'll do it tomorrow,
that's a good procrastination.
It is, yeah.
And I don't know if I call it procrastination or if I call that just like...
Oh, it's definitely procrastination.
Really?
Yeah.
There wasn't any intuitive...
I wanted to do it, but I was like, I'll do it tomorrow. I don't have the energy to do it today. I thought it took a lot of energy, and every time that I've attempted suicide, it has taken a lot of energy. The whole build-up weeks before.
I've heard that.
And it does take a lot of energy, and I think, maybe procrastination saved my life and saved other people's lives in the process,
Yeah, and that's the same thing, and that's something that people need to be aware of, actually. You make a good point, because when I lost my best friend and roommate to suicide, everyone thought he was getting better because he started doing laundry again, and he started picking up. That was him getting the energy and kind of making sure he didn't leave a mess.
Yeah.
And I realized that after the fact. I thought, Jesus, man, like, he knew the whole time he was getting cleaned up.
Yeah.
He was getting ready, and that broke my heart.
Yeah, for sure.
So when people are really, really depressed, just be cautious of, like, you want them to do better, but you still got to keep your eye on them for a while.
Check on your strong friends, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Always check on your strong friends.
Exactly. And that's how it was. So we've talked about that one before, about procrastination. But if you want a brand new future for yourself, you need to push yourself and try new things and start new relationships. Get out there and do the things you know you really want to do, the things that will be good for you. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
That's what I got written down here too.
Start challenging yourself. Do some anxiety-producing activities. Use your tools to help you. Once you test them and see that they will work, you'll actually be excited about growth and change. And I know that when I first took this program, I got really excited.
Yeah.
When I started looking at my anxiety as excitement again, like a little kid, right? Like, I know that even now, sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, why am I anxiety? Like, why am I anxious?
Right.
But then I start thinking, maybe I'm just excited for the day. Maybe I've got something that's really I'm looking forward to. Yeah. So it depends on how you look at it.
It's all about perspective, I think.
It is.
Your anxiety, right?
It is, for sure. And you'll start to gain this incredible inner strength and security that won't ever go away. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. With each time, it's going to get a little bit easier. Procrastination is a very heavy resistance behavior, and it's really effective. You can come up with 100,000 reasons why now is not a good time for just about anything. Well, it's now or never. What are you waiting for? Many people with anxiety tend to overanalyze. And if you're someone that overanalyzes, I was a big overanalyzer as well, and you overintellectualize, you need to understand that not everything is going to make sense. The best thing to do is to put a time limit on it and move on.
Right.
So this is where your just do it kind of thing comes in. When you're analyzing things constantly, you're still in your mind, and you can talk yourself in and out of things all day long. If you're someone that analyzes things, you can make yourself sick doing that. So you want to just even look at your watch and say, you know what? I'm going to think about this for 2 minutes, and then whatever I'm feeling at that 2-minute mark, whether it's good or bad, if I feel like, going out with these friends to the movies, then I'm going to do that. If I don't feel like it, I'm going to go with whatever way I feel, but I'm not going to analyze it any further. I'm going to make the decision.
Right. And that's putting like safe boundaries on yourself, right?
Right.
Like, ultimately, that's saying,
right.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try this, and if it doesn't work the first time, it might work the 10th time.
Right. Absolutely.
Like, just keep doing it.
Absolutely. So if you think about it for 2 minutes, if you need to, and then just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Trust that you can also stop and eliminate this negative habit that needs to be broken. So everything that we talk about on here is a bad habit, and I hope people realize that. These are all things that we've been programmed with over time, and we're trying to unprogram. That's the way it'll take time.
And it takes time. It's built how many years to put in these bad habits?
30 years of anxiety and depression.
Hopefully it won't take 30 years to unravel, but maybe it will.
It does.
I don't think it will.
I think as long as, it's like you said, man, you get in what you put in, right? So, I mean, if you work hard at it, we know that you can change a behavior within 21 days.
Yep, for sure.
So if you can continually tell yourself positive affirmations and sort of program your subconscious to match your positive dialogue and your compassionate self-talk, you'll be all right.
Oh, it can be amazing.
Yeah, you'll be more than all right.
Yeah.
You'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
Often people are afraid to change because they're afraid people around them may not like them or love them anymore. If you're making positive changes, the people around you who are truly meant to be a part of your life will adapt and support you. Any relationship you lose probably wasn't healthy to begin with. So we kind of said that before.
Yeah.
You can't change anyone else, but you can change yourself, and the other person has to change to maintain a relationship with you.
I think when we have like positive attitudes and we have positive energy and positive vibes, we may lose a lot of people. I think when I got sober, I lost a lot of friends.
Right. I like how you put that in quotations.
Were they really my friends? They were
Right.
only around when I had drugs or booze or money, When I didn't have that stuff, they were never around. So were they really my friends? And
right.
now I'm a big fan of like, I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies.
Right.
I'd rather have 4 people in my life that like solidly love me and I trust that they love me than 100 people who just say they do.
Yeah, that's a good.
And
I like that 4 quarters or 100 pennies.
Well,
I like that.
I just need that, right?
Yeah.
I need that kind of stuff in my life.
Absolutely.
I don't care if there's only 4 people in my life. That's a lot better than people that have no one.
Absolutely. And sometimes the people that have no one think they have those 100 pennies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're not.
And they're not
solid.
there.
No,
right?
they're not solid friends. So secondary gains are what you get when you hold on to your anxiety and depression. A big one is getting attention. Stop and ask yourself if you're getting attention for this fear and avoidance. Remember, sometimes bad attention is better to people than no attention at all. So ask yourself that. Ask if your depression or anxiety or stress gets you attention. If you like that, that might be a reason you're holding on to it. Maybe you're the opposite and you don't want the attention, and that's how I was. And staying anxious and depressed, people tend to leave you alone. So I like to be left alone, especially when I was hungover and I didn't remember what I did the night before. Yeah. But I also like to be left alone. I just didn't want to. Sometimes I didn't want to answer my phone if it was work related. Just I'm just going to be depressed and not. Yeah, it was easier.
It sometimes seems like it is easier to be that way, right? But it like screws you up kind of longer term.
Well, life's too short, man. Right. I mean, like it seems like it's the easier choice, but when is the easier choice ever the one that's worth it?
Yeah, my buddy Shawn. It's funny. I have a lot of buddies named Shawn. My buddy Shawn McCann always says, "If it's hard, I got to do it." He says, "Those are the things that I have to do."
Those are the things that are usually worth it.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's when opportunities start to come, when you do things that make you a little uncomfortable.
You got to wake up before you go to work, right?
That's right. This can give you a really good reason to avoid social situations. We're talking again about when people leave you alone. And even relationships. There's a better way to get attention in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. Ask for it. Ask for a hug. Ask for attention in a healthy way. If you need to talk to someone, tell them. If you need to feel love or more love from your partner, ask for that and let them know, rather than just kind of trying to get the attention in an unhealthy way.
Expecting it without saying anything is just going to give you a resentment.
Yeah. Whatever happened to people being able to communicate,
The digital era.
Yeah.
It's a help for, say things like this, but it's the greatest miscommunicator on the planet.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. How many fights do you get in through text messages because no one can understand your tone or body language?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So figure out what it is that you need to and ask for it rather than using your anxiety and depression to get it. We also tend to think of decisions in terms of right and wrong. There are no wrong decisions. Stop thinking in terms of black and white. Again, go to this black and white because that's how we are. And make the best decision you can based on the information that you have. Pick the one that feels the most right to you, and know that most decisions are reversible and retractable. Once the decision is made, move forward in the best way you can, and try for the most positive outcome. And if it doesn't work, you gave it your best shot, and you move on to something else.
Gotcha.
As you talked about, man, like, doesn't work, you learn. You live and you learn. It's not...
They're growth spurts. I think failure is growth spurts, right?
I think that the most successful people failed a shitload. They had to learn all those lessons. Yeah. So,
can you believe that Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't good for TV?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me. Mm-hmm. Or that Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team.
Yeah, exactly. Those are great.
Unbelievable.
Great examples. But those are ones that you hear about. But there's so many other success stories in the business world, right? Like people that have gone bankrupt 7 times and now they're billionaires or whatever. I mean, they might not necessarily be in the sports light, on TV. So, do your best to figure out why you're holding on to this anxiety. Okay, guys. Many of you don't even realize it's a totally subconscious thing. You don't want to overanalyze this or obsess about it either. You just want to see if it's something that you can take responsibility for.
Right.
It's all about taking responsibility, being open and honest, especially with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And just trying the things that will make you a better person. And
just love yourself a little bit, you know?
Sure.
It's tough to do. That's one of the toughest things in the world is to love yourself and show yourself self-care because sometimes we don't think we deserve it, right?
Yeah. Is there anything you want to add this week, buddy? On top of this, like, love yourself? Is there anything from your notes?
I just think that, like, any of this stuff is, like, daily practice. Like, that's what I want to tell people that, you know, you might have like, been with us for, like, 14 weeks now, and that if nothing's changing, you know, it takes daily practice. And you got to work on this stuff every day.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up if it's not happening, because I always think, like, now is the best time. You'll get more accomplished in life if you start now.
Right. When's now a good time?
You know what I mean? Right now is, and you're going to have more energy to do good things. Right?
Yeah.
If you start this, you know, CBT, if this is what you need,
if
you start now, man, the future's your oyster, you know.
Right. And again, we always, if you go under any of the podcasts that we do for the Soulfire Sundays, you'll find a link to this exact course where you can get it. I highly recommend you do it. If you're just tuning in and watching us on Sundays, obviously we appreciate the support. We're glad to try to give you guys some insight into everything that we've struggled with. Hopefully it helps. But you got to put in a little more work than just an hour on a Sunday if you want to see some change. So hopefully you're taking some of the stuff that we're talking about here and using it, or at least attempting to make baby step changes like we talked about.
You just got to be willing and open. You know what I mean? That's all it is. Don't close this stuff up because it'll change your life. Yeah, I think we're testaments to that it will change your life. If you just keep your mind a little bit open to change and embrace a little bit of change, you can learn to love yourself. You can learn to be successful. You can learn to do the things that you love to do.
Right. I agree. So let's get some goals for this week.
Yeah.
So the goals for this week, if you're watching and you want to participate, are to figure out what the payoffs are that you're getting from your anxiety, depression, and stress. Also, what old beliefs, for example, this is just the way I am, might be keeping you stuck in old bad habit behaviors. You want to begin this week not using your anxiety, depression, and even stress as an excuse for anything. It's only an excuse if you allow it to continue. This is a great time to view your symptoms of anxiety as feelings of excitement towards trying something new. And that one is one of my favorites, by the way. Remember to keep trying new things and break out of those old destructive patterns. Go a different way, try a different response, eat a different food. Use the Nike saying and just do it.
Just do it.
Push through the fear or feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to really get through anything that makes you feel uncomfortable.
That was a long one this week, eh?
It had to be. I mean, it's a really tough...
I think it's very important.
Yeah.
I think it's super important.
And it's hard to change. Change is a tough thing, and it takes courage. Yeah. It's just like this week's kind of title.
Yeah. It does take courage, and I think everyone has courage. We got to tap into that, right?
Right, absolutely.
You find it and tap into it and, expose your courage.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think that if we're doing something brave, we're being courageous, right?
I agree.
If we're scared, we're about to do something brave.
That's true, for the most part.
For the most part.
There's a reason to be scared if you have like a line of cocaine in front of you or something. Don't do that. But that's when you just don't do it.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Yeah, but anyway, I think that's where we'll end this week.
Yeah,
Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, it was a long one. Thanks for sticking with us while I read through all the material. We hope you got something out of it. Again, if you're a younger individual and you're any age really, but if you're without a support system, always reach out, especially if you're contemplating suicide. Contact the numbers that we're going to put at the bottom, or Google your local crisis center. And that's it for this evening. I'm going to turn the Facebook, if you're with us on Facebook Live, I'm going to turn that around. If you have any questions for us, let us know. We'll be here for another couple minutes, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in, guys.